Okay, so now we are on chapter 8. Let's go through the MCQs. What is the Bodhisattva way of living? So, when we say that we are Bodhisattvas of the earth, we have taken a vow at Eagle Peak during ceremony in the air in front of Shakyamuni Buddha and many treasures Buddha, and with Bodhisattva superior practices as our leader. That vow was what? That vow was to awaken people in the latter day of the law, and essentially to obtain or to attain or to achieve Kosen Rufu, and awaken everyone and enabling everyone to embrace the mystic law. So that is the Bodhisattva way of living. Bodhisattva way of living also means practicing for oneself and practicing for others. The objective of Kosunrufu, as stated in this text, is that to teach others faith in the mystic law and actualize a peaceful world. So, just a while back, I talked about practicing for oneself and practicing for others. Now, practicing for oneself essentially means to chant Namyo Renge Kyo and awaken our own Buddhahood, and practicing for others essentially means to empower them, to awaken them. And enable them so that they can chant and they can awaken their Buddhahood, and ultimately awaken the seed of the mystic law which was already there from remote past in their life, and actualize a peaceful world. In the latter day, Kosen Rufu is fundamentally described as a battle between Buddha and devilish functions. Nichiren Daishonin says that strengthen your faith day by day and month after month. If you slacken even a bit, the devil will take over, the devilish functions will take over, something on those lines. The intent is that the flame of Buddhahood is very vulnerable. As soon as we slacken in our faith, it gets extinguished by the fame, desire, three obstacle, and four devils. So in the latter day, Kosen Rufu is actually a challenge or a battle between the Buddha and devilish functions, transcending all differences among themselves. This means overcoming antagonism, discrimination, and selfishness caused by separateness. So, this may sound a bit heavy. So, the chapter 8 is around many in body, one in mind. So, when we say we all are many in body, it essentially means that we have our own. If we have our own identity, we are all individuals, need not to look like same, need not to dress like same. We have our own way of thinking, orientation, talent, and way of propagating Kosunrufu in the latter day of the law. Now, it also means that we need to transcend all these physical differences to come together and being one in mind. So, what are the differences? Egoism, antagonism, that I am better than the other person, having a hatred for other people, discrimination based on the caste, creed, social status, right? Selfishness, that I am good, mera chant ho gaya, I am good for it. All these are the differences we need to transcend. Once we are able to transcend those differences, then we will be able to become one in mind. So the Buddhism cherishes each individual, each individuality. However, with each individuality and their way of thinking, the fundamental problem also comes is that we need to overcome our own antagonism, discrimination, and other tendencies. To continue in faith, one must remain in the orbit of many in body, one in mind, and mentor disciple relationship. This question is like a common theme across all the chapter. Many in body refers to diversity in identity, characteristics, and preferences, while one in mind refers to being united in a single goal of Kosundufu. So we may be different in body, but inside we all are bodhisattvas of the earth. We have to get awakened to that vow which we took. Once we get awakened to that vow, then from mind point of view, we all become same, and that's something we need to aspire for. Many in body, one in mind. The great vow mentioned during Atsuhara persecution refers to dedicating one's life to Kosenrofu. At the time of Atsuhara persecution, Daishonin says that my wish is that all my disciples make a great vow. That great vow was dedicating one's life to Kosenrofu. The path of mentor and disciple is rooted in the vow taken together at Eagle Peak. So again and again, the Bodhisattva vow, our original self, is something a very common theme across all the chapter. Practitioners who disrupt unity typically fall to egoism, self-respect, self-interest, and attachment to position. So that is similar to what we need to transcend. We need to transcend over self-centeredness. We need to overcome antagonism. We need to overcome discrimination, right? We need to overcome our attachment to the position and power. Once we are able to do that, then only we can transit to one mind. So the other way to look at it, the people who will disrupt the unity will have all these characteristics of egoism, self-interest, and attachment to position. According to Nichiren, such disruptors are like warriors who destroy their own castle from within. That means that ultimately internal collapse of the community. So that is the biggest worry and biggest thing we need to focus on. That if you really need to achieve Kosen Rufu can only be achieved when we work as a community, harmonious community, many in body, one in mind. However, if that community get destroyed, if that community gets disrupted, then the flow, eternal flow of Kosanufi will also be stopped. And at most of the time then less, it will be done by someone from within. So that is what it is saying, that like warriors who destroy their own castle from within. So internal collapse of the community, because people get fall into egoism, self-centeredness, self-interest, and attachment to position. Why could those motivated by self-serving ends not remain in pure community? So by design, if this community, there are no compulsions, there are no commandments in Soka Gakkai, right? In terms of how you want to look, how you have to wear. So we have so much of diversity, and then when there is a diversity in any community, they need to aspire for a common goal. Only when they have a common goal, then they can continue and bind it as a single homogeneous identity. So people who are not having a common goal of Kosen Rufu, people who have fallen to egoism, self-centeredness, by design they will they will be thrown out, or by design they will detach themselves from the community, because it is impossible that without genuine faith you will be sustaining in this kind of a community. Turning against one's mentor is described as the ultimate destruction of unity. So that is something has been one of the biggest the biggest sin as per Buddhism, that turning once against the teacher, one's mentor. Unity in diversity requires overcoming ego, self-centeredness, and fundamental darkness. Again and again, I'm talking about this so that it helps you not just in the exam but also in your day-to-day practice. Respect for fellow practitioners arises from the belief that all possess Buddha nature. Now, the point is, I have ego, I have self centeredness, I am attached to the power, position, and whatnot. However, I need to overcome it. I can only overcome all these things in the community and bring a concept of man in body, one in mind in the realization. Only when I, first of all, understand my vow, that I made a vow at Eagle Peak, and also realize that not just me, but all these Buddhas, all these practicing members are also took the vow along with me. So all are Buddha and all have Buddha nature. Man in body, one in mind represents the ultimate manifestation of strategy of the Lotus Sutra. So, what is strategy of the Lotus Sutra? What was the reason Lotus Sutra was preached? Lotus Sutra was preached in order to maintain the universality and equality of attaining the Buddhahood. Lotus Sutra was preached to talk about the instant manifestation of Buddhahood. And Lotus Sutra was preached for the latter day of the law. So the strategy of the Lotus Sutra, the intent was to awaken all people to their Buddhahood, and to awaken all people to Buddhahood, to achieve Kosun Rufu, we ultimately need to work as a community in man in body, one in mind. So that's the reason the book says that man in body, one in mind represents the ultimate manifestation of the strategy of the Lotus Sutra. Now, plans for Kosundufu succeed only when they are supported by united shared prayer based on Kosundufu. Remember, in the last chapter, we also talk about how would I know that my faith is getting deeper day by day. So the best barometer to check your faith is getting deeper is look at the prayers you are doing, the life state you have during the prayers. So when our faith deepens, then we start focusing more on Kosundufu, focusing more on our community, our immediate block, district, and chapter area, and work there to achieve Kosundufu in our immediate community. So think global, act local. So that is the mantra. Now there is a example of fish and water. So earlier we had a example of ocean and wave that talked about mystic law of life and death and how they are inseparable. Now we are talking about fish and water. So the example of fish and water expresses the concept of many in body, one in mind, that we have a mutual respect, support, and we are inseparable in faith. What forms the basis of building rapport among practitioners? So we can only build rapport among practitioners when we truly respect each other's Buddha nature. So first of all, there may be days when the leader or the member does not have the best of the days, or maybe some members. The idea is not to get attached to any member. The idea is to get attached to sensei, get attached to Gohonzon, and ultimate mystic law of life and death. And Ultimately, when we all work together in a with a self-respect, mutual respect for each other, and thoroughly acknowledging that each one has Buddha nature, then only we can build rapport and work among ourselves. And the model for respecting everyone's Buddha nature is Bodhisattva never disparaging. When we look at the life and the stories of Bodhisattva never disparaging, that he even people who are stoning him, even people who are throwing stone at him, he used to bow down to them and tell that you have a Buddha nature and you all are Buddha, and I have immense respect for you. Not just for the people who are practicing Buddhism at that time, but also for every other religion as well. So that is the model we need to start imbibing in our day-to-day life and in our community. And harmony is destroyed primarily by self interested individuals who are seeking fame, power, or personal benefit. Those who disrupt harmony from within are described as warriors who destroy their castle from within. Out of Nichiren's six senior priests, only Nikko remained loyal. So in our prayer also Gongyo, we show gratitude to Nikko Shonin. So at the time of Nichiren's demise, Nichiren entrusted the law propagation of the law to six priests. However, as soon as the demise of Nichiren, the five priests actually abandoned the faith, and only Nikko Shonin in true spirit followed the Nichiren Daishonin's guidance. So that's how vulnerable and the mind is. That's why Nichiren Daishonin said again and again, and he showed it through his own life, how to strengthen the faith day by day, month after month. Still, that things happens, right? Nikko Shonin's significance is that he preserved Nichiren's intent and built a harmonious community, and something which is Soka Gakkai is following as on date as well, which is mentor and disciple relationship and many in body, one in mind. And as long as, and then going forward, Ikeda Sensei says that as long as the spirit of the first three president remains, SGI will always possess the great life force of the Buddha. The lion's roar symbolizes the truth that overcomes injustice and onslaughts. Toda's declaration that the organization will be known as Soka Gakkai Buddha expresses his conviction that SGI embodies the law through practice. The heart of mentor in SGI tradition means protecting the organization and advancing Kosen Rufu. I think this is done. Okay, this is also done. Yeah, this is done. Now let's look at fill in the blanks. Bodhisattva way is nothing but Kosunrufu. To continue in faith, one must follow mentor and disciple relationship. One in mind means one in heart. The great vow means dedicating one's life to Kosunrufu. Unity requires overcoming ego and fundamental darkness. Fish and water represent mutual respect and support. Bodhisattva, never disparaging, used to bow down to all people. Five priests forsook faith, only Nikko Shonin remained. SGI's Lions Roar champions truth, justice. So we have to stand for people who are like warriors who are trying to destroy castle from within with the Lion's Roar. Toda said SGI would be known as Soka Gakkai Buddha. Look at the conviction and the dedication of Toda Sensei here. Match concept to meaning: many in body, one in mind, great vow. Unity of purpose for Kosen Rufu. Diversity of individuals is many in body. Dedicating life to spreading the law. That is our great vow. Match qualities of harmonious community: mutual respect, Bodhisattva never disparaging, and shared prayer. So, seeing Buddha nature in all, foundation for Kosundufu, support and understanding. So, when we have a mutual respect for each other, then we will able to have a support and understanding. Otherwise, it will won't be there. And Bodhisattva never disparaging used to see Buddha nature in all. And when we have a shared prayer, that is a foundation for Kosundufu. Match historical example to lesson. Five priests abandoning faith, Nikko Shonin, first three SGA president. True embodiment of vow and preserving legacy. That is what Nikko Shonin did. Isn't it? Yeah. Then importance of loyalty to mentor and how destructive desire for fame disrupts harmony. So that is what is shown in five priests abandoning faith. And first is SG president shows the importance of loyalty to mentor. So yeah, importance of loyalty to mentor. I think I just mixed a few. Just look at the answers. Okay, now short answer. What does many in body, one in mind fundamentally mean? Why is the great vow of Bodhisattva of the earth critical for unity? Explain the meaning of fish and water relationship in SGI. What danger is posed by those who destroy the castle from within? Why does Toda call SGI Soka Gakkai Buddha? What does transcending all differences among themselves mean for practitioners? How does one in mind relate to mentor disciple spirit? So I will, just like I said in other videos, take a pause and go through the suggested answer. these are not the final answer. This is a suggested answers. And of course, the overall this is practice quiz. Thank you so much.